I was about 10 years old. Linda, my sister, was about 11, and my brother Neil was 9. My mother had 3 children in 3 years. And when I think about it, that probably wasn't very easy. We were up north at the Torch Lake Cottage. At least in my memory, our family had just picked cherries, and my mother probably made one of her very famous cherry pies. Linda, Neil, and I, and some of the neighborhood kids, I think, decided it would be fun to live off the land. In our young minds, that didn't mean catching fish, eating wild berries, and capturing wild turkeys. It simply meant that we would pitch a tent in the backyard and we wouldn't set foot in the cottage for 3 days. We were very excited about our plans for self-sufficiency. We announced our plans to our mother, and she readily agreed to the venture. Maybe her idea of having her 3 kids out of the house and out from underfoot sounded like a darn good idea to her. But really, the reason she liked it so much was she loved it when children had fun. That was a very special quality of hers, and we, her 3 children most of all, reaped the benefits of it. The elementary school children she taught, hundreds of piano students, and her 7 grandchildren were also recipients of this wonderful quality. So we set up our tent, readied our sleeping bags, and settled in for our bold adventure. But we realized we had forgotten things. A pillow. So we stood at the door of the cottage, careful not to pass the threshold, and yelled in, "Mom, I forgot my pillow." "Can you get me one?" She came to the door, handed it out, and smiled. "Mom, we're cooking over an open fire. We need a can opener. Can you get us one?" She came to the door, laughed, and handed it to us. "Mom, can you get my swimsuit, my flashlight, marshmallows?" You get the picture. That went on for about 3 days, or maybe the 2 that we survived, before returning to the maternal care that was inside the cottage. Oh, the gift of having a safe, protected childhood. I know I speak for Linda and Neil too when I thank her for that most precious gift. The sense of fun extended to other things as well. She loved music and had fun singing and playing the piano. She was a phenomenal musician. She could hear a song and sit down at the piano and play it by ear. She sang in the church choir, participated in the Lathrop Square Dance Supper Club, taught music in the schools, and for decades taught private lessons to kids in the neighborhood. A few of her grandchildren, as you've seen today, or will see today, are very musically talented, and I'm sure they have her to thank for that. As she died earlier this week, we were around her bedside at home, singing her favorite songs, the ones that she had taught us as children. One is blessed if you can find something you are truly passionate about, and music was that for her. She came from a very small family. She was very happy then to be the matriarch of a growing family. She was an only child, born to immigrant German parents, and she grew up in Lansing, Michigan. Her father, Carl Beck, was hired by General Motors as an engineer a few days after arriving in Michigan from Germany. She grew up comfortably, but being German in the Second World War was not easy. She went to Albion College and majored in education. She came to Grosse Pointe to teach school and did so until she became a mother. She met my father, Frederick Tyson, at a Methodist youth group function, and they were married a couple months later. She and my father enjoyed each other's company for 1 month shy of 50 years until his death 7 years ago. They built a life together, raised kids, traveled, vacationed at Torch Lake, and enjoyed their close circle of friends and family. She was devoted to my father and took care of him during his long illness. They set an example for us to how to have a lasting, stable, loving marriage. She was proud, oh so proud, of her 7 wonderful grandchildren, Mark, Jean, Keith, Andrea, Sarah, Aaron, and Nathan. You made her very happy, and she loved all of you. Many of you here today probably heard her many stories of their lives as they were growing up. It was her right as a happy grandmother to brag a little. All the grandchildren have wonderful memories of being with her at Church Lake, and they will miss her terribly. Mom loved her friends, old and new. She nurtured friendships, and she gathered around her a collection of wonderful people. Friends from college, neighbors, people she raised her children with in Lathrop Village, couples friends, sorority sisters, members of the bridge club, church friends, and others were the recipients of her deep loyalty and enjoyment of companionship. She was also active in the community. She was a charter member of this church and has been active for over 50 years. She sang in the choir, and as we sing today, we will miss her beautiful, strong voice singing in the pews. She added her notes of harmony to the music and was truly joyful when she was singing. She was part of the Youth at Heart group and participated in the church's charitable activities. She was also involved in the college sorority alumni activities, and she had close women friends throughout her lifetime. A couple of years ago, after my father died, my mother met Dick. Never in her wildest dreams did she expect to have another wonderful man in her life. Having over 100 years of prior marriage between them, they knew the value of special companionship. Their social calendar was more booked than mine, and she had a youthful excitement when she talked about Dick. He even managed, for the first time in her life, to get her to drink wine on a regular basis. We welcomed Dick into our family and are profoundly grateful to him for providing her with happy years toward the end of her life. She loved to move her body, and she had the natural grace of an athlete. She played a spirited game of tennis and enjoyed meeting her lady friends for this activity. She snow skied, ice skated, swam, water skied until her 70th birthday, but mostly she liked to walk or run. She ran in parking lots just to get exercise. When I was about 13 years old, we raced. She won. She walked almost daily and continued this until she got ill 2 years ago. She was unbelievably healthy and vigorous. Her medicine cabinet consisted of a bottle of aspirin, and it expired in like 1962. It almost isn't an exaggeration to say that she had a 3-page medical chart, one for the birth of each child. It was difficult that ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, a neuromuscular condition, would be her fate. She handled it with grace and dignity, and mostly with sheer grit and determination. She was able to walk until just a few weeks ago. We took care of her in her home, and with the help of wonderful caregivers, she was able to remain there. Neil, my gem of a brother, and his family deserve special acknowledgement for their steadfast, close-in, daily support and care. My sister and I know that he sacrificed tremendously to help and comfort my mother during her illness. We will be forever indebted to him. I'm sure for a while now, Linda, Neil, and I will feel like we are living off the land as we now go through life without Mom. But we have inside of us all of her teachings, her sense of fun, her outstanding values, so we will rely on those memories in times ahead. We will remember her with love and celebrate her life. A sincere thank you to all of her friends and family who helped make her life rich and full. I will close with one of my favorite poems by Wendell Berry. It comforts me at times like this, and I hope it comforts you as well. It's called A Piece of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's life might be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests, and the great hand feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-long stars, waiting for light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free.